Hello and welcome to today's episode of Knobi Cooks. Today I will show you how to prepare chicken in bacon cream sauce. This uncommon combination of chicken with bacon, cream, spinach and tomatoes will blow you away. So let's jump right in. For today I have prepared some chicken breast, spinach, tomatoes, a couple of shallots, some garlic cloves, Parmesan, cream, spices, our large pan with some clarified butter, a pot with some water already set up, our noodles, and a baking rack with bacon. Let's start with bringing our water to a boil. And I've also already preheated the oven so we can put the bacon in right away. The oven is set to 200 degrees Celsius top and bottom heat. That's 392 degrees Fahrenheit for you out there in the US. For starters, we will dice our shallots. I always dice my shallots just like I dice my onions. Do some lateral cuts and then just dice them up. For this dish I recommend you try to go for finer shallot dices because they simply fit better into this sauce. Also, shallots work better for this sauce than onions because of their milder taste when we compare them to onions. And I like to include quite a lot of shallots into the sauce, but you can go for less if you like to. Next up is the garlic, and for the garlic goes the same thing as for the shallots. We want finer dices for this sauce, so take care when you are dicing your shallots and the garlic for this sauce. And as a general advice for you guys out there, if you want to cook a cream sauce and are not sure whether to use shallots or onions, I would recommend you go for shallots. Their milder taste usually just fits better into a cream sauce, though if you prefer a stronger taste for your cream sauce, then go for onions. Okay, next up are our chicken breast fillets. Since chicken breasts are usually quite thick, we wanna halve them. And if they are really thick, you may even want to cut them into thirds. In the end, you simply want to make sure that you cut your chicken breasts into steaks or fillets that are about equally thick. We will fry them whole and don't want any parts to stay raw or dry out early, though we will later let them swim in sauce, so neither case is really critical. Next up is our spinach. Here I'm using frozen spinach, though you can use fresh one if you like to. However, if you are using frozen spinach, make sure to thaw it timely. You don't want still frozen spinach at this stage. And make sure to squeeze out some of the water from the spinach. Here you can see me doing rough cuts across the spinach. That's so we don't end up with very long strands of spinach in our sauce. Okay, the clarified butter is already molten and our shallots and garlic have started to sizzle a little bit. Let's stir them once and then focus on the tomatoes, our next ingredient. So for starters, I first like to halve all of my tomatoes, and as soon as that step is done, we will simply cut out the stem of each of the tomato halves. Since we will dice the tomatoes later on, I think you could also use date tomatoes or cherry tomatoes for the sauce and maybe save a little bit of cutting work in the meantime. Though do as you like. The nice thing about the tomatoes is that they will also add some liquid to the sauce, which we would need anyway later on. So by now the shallots and our garlic have started to become glassy and even have browned in some places. That's exactly how we want it. For our next step we will need some space in the pan. So let's pile them up. We will now put as many of our chicken fillets into the pan as we can. I don't have enough space for all of them, but it's okay, we will fry them later on. In the meantime, don't forget about the bacon. Mine is already looking very good, so let's activate the air circulation and let it bake for a little bit longer. And then right back to our chicken fillets. We want to salt and pepper them. For now we will only add salt and pepper to the current top side of our fillets, but the other side will follow suit later on when we have flipped our fillets. And don't worry about those fillets that didn't fit into the pan. Our current fillets will shrink and make space for those soon enough. Simply fry these on their current side for a little bit longer. Okay, some time has passed and our noodle water is already boiling. So let's lower the temperature on that pot, and afterwards it is time to flip our chicken. On one hand you can see that they have already started to brown in some places. On the other hand you can also see that they have shrunk quite a bit, and thus we now have enough space in our pan to also fry the remaining 2 fillets. As soon as we have added them into the pan, we will also salt and pepper them, as well as the fillets we have just flipped. And now we move on to cutting our tomatoes. We don't need to cut them or dice them very fine, since they will easily dissolve later on when our sauce is cooking properly. Simply take each half, quarter it, and then cut it into dices. That will be more than sufficient. By now our chicken has browned nicely and some drippings have also formed in our pan, which is great. So flip all of them over once more and salt and pepper those you haven't already, which for me means only salting and peppering those 2 we put into the pan a little bit later. And by now the time is ripe to put the noodles into our noodle water. So let's take them, pour them in, and afterwards just don't forget to stir them once or twice so they don't stick to the bottom of the pot right away. And then we basically just cook them for however long the packaging tells us to. And now back to our chicken. Let's stir the contents of our pan. By now you can see that a lot of drippings have formed in the pan. They will serve as a great basis for our sauce later on. This is exactly what you want to see when preparing any kind of gravy. Just a nice brown tint, but nothing black in there. Gently scrape as much of it as you can off, so it doesn't burn in. And now chicken, shallots and garlic are basically ready for our sauce. Though before we start the base of our sauce, let's once again focus our attention on the bacon. It should be crispy by now. If you ask me, baking your bacon is the best way to prepare it. This way it's not soaking in its own fat for ages, it gets crispy equally from all sides, and it's no hassle at all to prepare it this way. Simply great. Though let's finally start with our sauce. For this we will prepare a roux. Just sprinkle a little bit of flour into the pan and then mix it with all of the other ingredients in there. There should be enough fat in your pan for it to not form any lumps. And if your pan is still on very high heat, then lower it so the flour doesn't burn into your pan right away. If you ask me, preparing a roux is always easier when there are already some other ingredients in your pan. It's way harder to start it from only fat and flour. So lucky us for this episode, I guess. Oh, and don't put your pot with the noodles on too high heat, or you risk it boiling over like it almost happened to me in this episode. So after I dodged this bullet, let's go back to sauce making. In the next step, we simply add all of the tomatoes and the spinach into the pan, and then we will mix them under. Normally you would deglaze this roux with wine or cold water, though in our case the vegetables will also add quite a bit of liquid into the pan, so for starters they will be sufficient until we add more liquid later on. Though now that I'm thinking about it, maybe just a little bit of white wine would also be very good for this sauce. I need to try it sometime. And bloody hell is this noodle water keeping me on my toes. This is a life lesson for you out there. Don't overheat your noodle water like I did. And always keep in mind the residual heat from your stovetop. Though now, after some more time of frying our ingredients, we will drain off the noodle water. Just make sure you catch some of it. We will need it for the sauce. And then after some more stirring, simply add the noodles into the pan and mix them under. With some water clinging to the noodles and the juice from our vegetables, nothing in our pan should be in danger of burning anymore. And as a bonus, all this liquid will also be transformed into our sauce. Speaking of sauce, now the time has come to add our cream into the mix. Simply pour all of it into the pan. And afterwards also pour some of the noodle water into the pan. This will only add to our sauce and make it a little bit more creamy compared to using tap water. And then it's time for seasoning. So let's season our dish. For herbs we will need some thyme, some basil and some oregano. And we will also add some bell pepper powder and some additional pepper into the mix. Afterwards, mix all of the spices and herbs under the sauce. If you're the type of person that does not have a feel for how much herbs and spices should go into your dish, then rather be conservative at first when it comes to seasoning. Taste your sauce or dish or whatever you're cooking, and if you're not yet content with its taste, then simply season some more. You can always add more spices, though it's very hard to take them out once they're in your dish. Basically, your only option to recover from such a point is to dilute whatever meal you're cooking. For a sauce, this might be rather easy by adding some water, though for a steak or something like that, this will be very hard. Though as time passes, you will get a feel for what is too much and what is too little. Trust me. Our sauce is almost done right now, so we can already turn off the heat of our stovetop, since the residual heat will be more than sufficient. One of the missing ingredients is the bacon, so we will simply take it from the baking rack and then put it into the sauce. And once it is in there, we will simply smash it to pieces. Try smashing it to as fine pieces as you can. Mine was a little bit stubborn and didn't want to be smashed into very small pieces. Though it's also not the end of the world if there are some larger chunks of bacon still in your sauce. I mean, it's bacon, come on, we will eat it either way. After smashing the bacon, once again mix it with the rest of the sauce. The extra taste from the bacon and its crunchiness are exactly what makes this sauce so special to me. It's one of my favorite ways to prepare chicken in a white sauce. And that's it. There's now only one ingredient left we need to add into the sauce, and that's our Parmesan. And I know, I'm not using the original Parmesan, but some other Italian hard cheese. Though it works just as well and is cheaper than the original one. So pour some of it into your sauce and then stir it under. I would recommend you to not add too much of it to the sauce at once. Stir it under first, and if you think you need more, add it afterwards. Though be aware, however creamy your Parmesan sauce is, it will be very sticky and quite annoying when you're cleaning your pan afterwards. So don't add too much. Rather put some of it onto the table so everyone can garnish their meal as they see fit. With that said, we come to the end of the cooking instructions. The meal is done and you're finally able to enjoy it. So take out your plates and serve it to yourself, your friends and family, your partner or some guests. They will all love it. But this does not only bring us to the end of the tutorial, it also brings us to the end of this episode of Knobi Cooks. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I hope I inspired you to cook it yourself. And if you do, tell me down below in the comments how it tasted. Is it as tasty for you as it is for me? This is Knobi, and I hope to see all of you in the next episode of Knobi Cooks. Goodbye.